I was one of the fittest engineers in the office. I ran fitness training after work for the guys. I was fast, energetic, and not an ounce of fat on me. I had been athletic my whole life, a track champion in my early teens and the football team in college. My energy and zest for life was one of the things that made Joanne fall in love with me. But every week that passed, I noticed my body was changing. I started craving junk food like ice cream and chocolate, and although my diet was the same, I got heavier on the scales and my pants got tighter and tighter. My back was covered in sweat, and I'd be out of breath just walking from my car to the office. It was so embarrassing. And as my energy dropped, so did my confidence, to the point where I was put on desk work and barred from site visits. I went to see our family doctor, who was very concerned and warned me I needed to do something before my health deteriorated further, or worse. He recommended, you guessed it, diet and exercise. And although I didn't know it, this would mark the beginning of an 8-year nightmare. We spent thousands on meal deliveries, home gym equipment, gym memberships, ab crunchers, and not to mention the fitness classes like CrossFit, Zumba, Insanity, P90X, and more. I tried every fad diet you've heard of: paleo, keto, vegan, low carb, low fat, fasting. I tried sleeping pills, detox cleanses, and hypnosis. And I'm not going to tell you that these diets and exercise programs didn't do anything. They did help me drop 1 or 2 pounds, but like so many people, I couldn't stick to any of them. And after the hope and enthusiasm with every new diet came the crushing disappointment when it would inevitably fail. And the weight came back plus a little more. And every time this happened, I turned to comfort food. As the years rolled by, my energy levels, vitality, mood, general health, and well-being went rapidly downhill. And although the doctor's diets were supposed to help, I piled on more and more weight. Within 3 years, I put on a huge 37 pounds. Within 6 years, I was 68 pounds overweight. I hadn't looked in a mirror in months. Every time I looked down, grabbing my belly, I felt shame and guilt for letting myself go and not being able to do anything about it. You see, I know exactly what you're going through: the relentless exhaustion, the pants that don't fit, the binging, the scale anxiety. I get it, because I live those feelings every day. On top of it all, our sex life had completely gone. I'm embarrassed to admit it, but it was impossible to be intimate with my wife. And the more weight I put on, the more depressed I became. And the further away I drifted from the man Joanne had fallen in love with. Until one evening, I overheard Joanne on the phone upstairs.
I love him, Ashley. I really do. But nothing's working. I want to help him. I want him to get better, but I'm lost. He just isn't the Todd I married. I feel so bad. I just don't find him attractive anymore.
I felt powerless and weak in a way I never thought I could. I should be the father, the protector, not an emotional and financial burden. How could I help and support my family if I can't even help myself? And 1 week later it happened. A scary event. But oddly enough, it was the best thing to happen to me, as you'll soon discover. Joanne was out, and Aaron was upstairs playing when I heard a huge bang. Aaron started screaming for help. I jolted out of my seat. I stood up and ran upstairs as fast as I could. My mind was there, but my body just couldn't keep up. My chest started pounding harder and harder. My breathing got heavier and heavier. I got halfway up before complete darkness. Next thing I remember, I was coming to, wires poking out of me in complete confusion. Hello, what? Where am I?
Oh, I'm so glad to hear your voice, honey.
Aaron, is Aaron okay?
Yes, he's fine, He hurt his leg, but he's okay. Luckily, Mr. Wilson from next door heard. He saved your life. You got here just in time, Todd. Your heart cannot cope anymore, Todd.
Joanne burst into tears as she hugged Aaron by my bedside. I could see him cold, hopeless, and frightened at the thought of losing me. It broke my heart. She knew the facts. If you're overweight, you're 62% more likely to have a heart attack, 64% more likely to have a stroke, 81% more likely to have coronary artery disease, and 22% more likely to get Alzheimer's. Kept thinking of my boy Aaron. The thought of not seeing him grow up, the man he'd become. I'd never see the pride on Joanne's face as her only child gets married, or welcoming our first grandchild into the world, something we've really been looking forward to. All the missed birthdays, anniversaries, and vacations away with our children, our grandchildren. I prayed to God to give me a miracle, to help me. And now I know He heard me. So listen carefully, because what happened next is the most eye-opening moment of my life, and the breakthrough I needed, and you need too. They kept me in for a few days for monitoring. It was a close call, they said, and I might not be as lucky next time. The doctor on call each night was Dr. Albert Tabera. a medical consultant on a 4-week transfer from Madagascar to teach about his medical practices back home. A highly intelligent man, he was one of the friendliest doctors I think I had ever met, with a great sense of humor, considering English is his second language. Every night we would talk while the ward slept. He told me all about his life in his home country of Madagascar, a magical island in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Africa. Did you know it's the most diverse and unique ecosystem in the world? And it's home to plants and animals found nowhere else on Earth? Over 90% of all animals and plants on Madagascar are unique to the island. In fact, many remedies and medicines for blood sugar, heart and pain like aspirin and metformin derive from exotic Madagascan plants such as white willow, wintergreens, and goat's rue. And as he told me the beauty of his home, I told him about my story. How my marriage was close to breaking down, my wife no longer found me attractive, my inability to play with my child anymore because I was so overweight, my hopelessness. We became close friends over these nights. And the last night before I left in the morning, I asked him, I begged him, if he knew anything at all, to help me where a decade of American diets and exercise had failed.
Todd, my friend, I'm glad you asked me. It's well known that if you have unexplained weight gain, if you're struggling to lose weight and nothing seems to be working, it always means a slow metabolism.